I want to welcome my next guest. This is Bonnie. And Bonnie, I have known you for a couple years now, but
Uh-huh.
recently you've been on a newer journey.
Yes, I
And so,
was.
yeah, so what I really just want to do is keep this really about your story. There are so many people that are wanting healing, they're wanting freedom. And I can tell you as a participant in that, in this last event that you had, and I know that there was a lot of things that led up to it, that I literally watched that healing take form, right in front of my eyes. So I would like you just to tell your story as you feel led, and we'll just kind of let you lead the way here. So tell us about you, Bonnie. Tell us about your story, and then we're going to talk about healing. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go
Um,
ahead.
I grew up in a home with four people, my mom, my dad, my sister Karen, and myself. And from my earliest memory, my mom was ill. She had multiple sclerosis, and she died when I was 11.
So sad.
Uh, yeah, so I learned that I learned I learned about loneliness. I learned about being silent. I learned about abandonment by being left home alone in those years for a little girl
Yeah.
that was 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Um, it was very lonely. It was just very lonely. My mother, um, was quite ill. She was just dying in front of our eyes. They moved her bed to the front of the house so she wouldn't be alone in a back bedroom, which was good. But he still left. My father would leave every single night. And my sister was just a young girl trying to make her way in the world too, and he just wasn't giving direction to either one of us and abandoned my mother. So she was gone. My mother was not awake half the time because she didn't have the strength to
Yeah.
be. She's just trying to hold
Yeah.
on to life. And there
Yeah.
was this little girl. And so
It's just
it was
so
it
sad.
was it was very lonely. It was very lonely.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
get all excited when the aunts would come over to visit my mother because, oh, there's somebody to talk to. Neighbors were great, but they had families of their own. And so they didn't
Mhm.
reach out to this child in this. I don't think my father was well liked in the neighborhood, let's say. I just don't
Okay.
think he
Okay.
was
Okay.
for whatever
Okay.
vibes he was giving off.
Right. Right. Right.
Hard to say for little one.
So you were young, you were left alone, and you kind of acted as the caregiver for
A
your
lot of the
mom, right?
times I did. A lot of the times I did. Um, well, like meal times, I was asked to be the one to feed her. If I'm playing outside, you be home and you give mom a lunch. And that means feeding her, making it, and giving her lunch at 8, 9, 10. Um, my sister was working. I don't know. This is like even in the summertime. That was just my job. Dinner time, she had to cook meat and potatoes, and I would feed mom
Mhm.
in a separate room where she was, so away from them. And it's like, we didn't take turns. They didn't come and sit with her or I. They just were over there and I was with mom. And it was mom and I. We were just alone, the two of us. So there's that. That was lonely. I remember as far as
Mhm.
caretaking going, one of the craziest things, was changing her Foley catheter. It was,
Mhm.
she, you have to do that about once a month, and then back in those days, they didn't have nurses that came to the house apparently, because my father would sterilize these same catheters, and they would they would lay on this tray in his room, and it was like torture devices to me. I hated looking at them. They were in his room, and, but he would come out, and if my sister was asked to do this too, but if she wasn't around, it would be my job to help him at 8, 9, or 10. And,
Mhm.
so she was very
Mhm.
contractured. She was really malnourished. She was dying, and her body was just very thin and bony, and her legs were like just bent in this contracted form. And
Mhm.
he's like, "Hold it!" And she'd be crying, and he'd be sweating.
Mhm.
And the little girl just did what she was told, and it was
Yeah.
so hard to see my mom crying, and my dad. being rather cruel to her in my eyes, you know, and I mean, he was
Yeah.
doing the best he could, but to me, it looked like cruelty
Oh my
because she was
goodness.
crying in
Yeah.
the pain. There
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that, and then there was other times because she was so weak, malnourished, and ill, she fell into pneumonia easily, and she would stop, well, her breathing became difficult and labored, and she wouldn't be responsive, and it's just me and her, and so it's like I remember going to the neighbors and, like, all the come and see my mom," and no, they didn't wanna get involved, whatever that meant to them.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't wanna
Yeah.
step in. So it's call the ambulance. I'm like, "Okay, call the ambulance." I did that several times, and, I can remember on one of those occasions, my father came home, she's gone, and he's like, "Why did you do that? Why did you call the ambulance?" I'm like, "Because she didn't talk, she
You
couldn't
didn't
breathe."
know.
And I
Yeah.
just couldn't
Yeah.
understand why he was angry with
Oh.
me because mama was sick,
Oh.
you know? Another thing about me, I was just
Yeah.
so lonely
Yeah.
that, she had a lot of she was kind of holistic for her era, I think. I'm even, what was it? Oral Roberts, I think he had a thing on the TV. I remember her putting her hand on the, screen for a healing. She really wanted to be healed. When she left our home at age 10, he
Mhm.
eventually put her in this place called Martha Tiberi Hospital. It was 20 minutes from our house, and, she lived there the last year of her life.
Year of
And
her life. Okay.
he would take me there every Friday. That was my day to go see mom for about 15 minutes, and then we'd head on over to Aunt Irene's house, which was her older sister. I liked her. She was good to me, and I had lots of cousins in that area, and so, it was fun. It was a fun weekend, but the problem came when he was not cognizant of pickup time. I mean, he dropped me off at 6 on a Friday, and he didn't get me till 9 on Sunday, and my Uncle Herb, who I wasn't real close to because he was a guy, and I was kind of afraid to guys if they weren't, like, outgoing and inviting, I was afraid of them because I had a father that was stern and, so forth. So, what did I know about men? So he would grumble about my father to my aunts, and so again, I felt rejection because 'cause I'm making them argue, and he's painting a horrible picture of my father, and
Mm.
it made me very sad to be caught in that middle, and it's like, I wanna be here, but
Mm.
if you don't want me to hear, maybe this isn't a good spot either. So, again, that rejection and abandonment thread that was permeating
Yes.
how I felt.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
she
Yes.
did die when I was 11, and my sister came and picked me up in a car with her girlfriends. There were 3 of her girlfriends. She was 17 at the time, I'm 11. So there were the driver, she was in the middle, and the other person, and they said, "Come on, we're going to the hospital. Just get in the car and be quiet. Kind of rough with me. Don't say anything."
Mhm.
And she is bawling her eyes out in the front seat, but zip it, be quiet, be unseen, don't say anything. So I just was like
Right.
hiding in
Right.
this
Right.
corner. And I do remember the other girl trying to put her arm around me, which was like, this doesn't sound good. This doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. So we get to the hospital, and you kind of know in your heart something really bad's happened, but they're not telling me. So we get there, and then the thing was, well, you stay in the lobby. We're going upstairs. You stay here. So I knew the way up there, but be good. Don't go up there. She told me to stay here. Just wait. And it was a long time, probably an hour at least. And the whole
Mm.
troop of them came down. My father had been up there. My aunts were up there. Karen and her girlfriends. My sister walked out with my father, but they didn't stop for me. They didn't even recognize that I was sitting there. So my aunt walked over to me and said, "You're going to come home with us for a few days. Is that okay?" Yeah. Okay. And then we got in the car and she said, your mom has died. And I cried, but I wanted to see her. And I was so hurt that I couldn't say goodbye to her. And we're in the car and they're not going to let me see her. So I'm like, I should have gone up there. I should have gone up there, but I didn't. So I spent the next 3 days with her. And I do remember crying in bed at night twice, the first 2 nights. And she came right into me and laid next to me, and which made me happy that she was there for me.
Yeah.
But I asked her as her oldest sister, "Well, what was my mom like? Tell me something about my mom." And it was just like, well, she was sick a lot, and it's like, they weren't kind words that I needed to hear about her.
Mhm,
I was close
mhm.
to my mom. We spent a lot of time together alone, but
Yeah,
howbeit, we
yeah,
were close.
yeah.
And she just had nothing really encouraging in those moments to say to me. So
Mm.
we uh we went to the all of that stuff, and then there was the funeral. And the thing that I remembered about the funeral, I went to a parochial school. And so this was my school, that my classroom was on the other side of those doors. And there's my mom at the up there, and now my sister says, "Come on, we're gonna go."
It was like a church school.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Okay.
Missouri Synod, yeah, little
Mhm.
Lutheran school.
Yeah.
And so she says, we're gonna go say goodbye to grandmom. So we
Mhm.
walked up there, and then she's like, "Kiss her." I'm like, "Not kiss her, she's dead." Because
Mm.
I'd already felt her in the funeral home. I knew what this felt like. She was cold. I'm kissing her? Not happening. So she threw my head down and made me touch her. And I'm like, oh, this isn't my mom. This just isn't my mom. It was rough. I didn't like doing that. So, anyways, that was the funeral. So high school comes, and I'm pretty good. I'm a a good girl. I just wanted to be seen, joined clubs. I did well in classes, enough to do okay in hard classes, and struggled through them, but that's what we didn't get tutors back in those years. We just plunged forward. But I got good enough grades that, oh, yeah. Back up a little bit. I met my husband, my now husband, in high school. We were high school sweethearts. We went to the prom together. But in our senior year, we really didn't date till the end of our senior year, but, I had my eye on him. I was watching him, and he was pretty handsome, and he was a swimmer, and I, lived pretty close to his house, and there was a group of us good kids, that the girls and then the swimmers. It was girls and swimmers, and we all hung together, and so I managed to watch every practice he did that year, and I, would take him home. He lived about half a mile to a mile from my house. So I'd take him home because he didn't have a car. I did. And so uh, I earned that car. I worked $400 and bought it. Bought it. Yeah, that was fun. $400 car back then. 66 Galaxy, actually.
Oh my goodness.
So one day I was doing dishes, and his mom, who I adore, because we did end up marrying this man and I, Tim. And I'm doing dishes as a high school student, and drives into my s- uh, driveway, and she's carrying a plant. And I open the door, and she says, "This is for you. It's a thank you for picking up Tim and dropping him off." And again, my head just went boom. She doesn't like me dating her son. She's buying me off. This is a present. She doesn't probably want me to be around her son. I'm not good enough for her son. Is what that sweet message of her giving me some plants delivered to my head. And as I
Mhm.
got to know her, that wasn't that's
It wasn't the
today.
case,
No,
no.
today I saw her, my sweet mom-in-law, who's 99 nearly now, just was a big influence in my life. She taught me just how to love family. She was loving, and she celebrated birthdays. That was unheard of. I mean, she celebrated my husband's and my sister-in-law's, my brother-in-law's. She celebrated me too. He's the first, the oldest, so we weren't married yet. And I got a celebration too. She made me a cake. This was just mind blowing to me because nobody ever celebrated me, but she did. It was just so good to me. And she loved me. She just loved me. And she loved her children. She loved family. Everybody.
Mhm.
Once we started having children, they all wanted her to be their kids' grandmas because she taught me how to be a grandma. Because
Yeah.
my kids adore her, and I have 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls, and um, she spent a lot of time with them. They stayed at the house because we were homeschoolers, and there were so many. So the rule was they had to be potty trained, but she would take two. overnight on a weekend, and they thought she was rich because they got a whole Happy Meal. If we went to McDonald's, we split the fries, but they got their own
Right.
Happy Meal. But they take them to the show. I mean, we didn't do things like that with 7 kids back, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do it with my grands, and that's fun. We get to do some
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Plus, she
Yeah.
taught me how to have fun with them. So, yeah, uh,
So you go into life and you get married
we get
and
married,
you're still
and
holding all this trauma. I just want to just come in here for a second to those of you that are watching. She's really telling her trauma story, and trauma, anyone who knows anything about trauma, trauma happens to you, but then it happens in you. And so
yes,
this stuff is been
deep,
planted in you.
so deep.
It's like seeds that have been planted in soil, and the fruit of that is kind of ends up being how you live your life. So tell us how that trauma that was planted in you, how did that start to show up into your adulthood as something that was harmful? Was it your emotions, your behaviors? I mean, what was that like?
Well, Tim and I got married, and we're young, and so I have all this rejection and abandonment issues, and it turns out he's kind of a quiet guy, and he kind of has an anger issue. His dad was a bombardier in the World War II, pressed buttons, dropped bombs all over Europe and Africa, and came home. He didn't have a lot of his friends that he came home with. He
Right.
had shrapnel in his own belly from the stuff. So
Mhm.
he's got PTSD big time, and he's angry and he swears. And my
Oh.
husband walked
Mm,
into this growing up. So he's got
mhm.
anger. I got rejection. So we have a fight. I
Mm,
retreat. I am like,
mhm.
you just hurt me. Don't you realize how much you hurt
Mhm.
me? Or he would slam the door and leave because that's what his
Mhm.
dad did. And
Yep,
I would just
exactly.
burrow into my shell in the basement of my heart. And I think maybe 5 or 6 days was the tops that I wouldn't talk to him at a time. And he's like, "When are we
Mm.
going to talk? When are we going to talk?" I'm like, I just walk away. Wasn't ready. So this wasn't a reoccurring theme in our early years. We don't do that anymore. We have had a lot of healing, Bonnie.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
a good way to go through conflict. It will happen, but we got better. But we didn't know better. I didn't. Um, uh, so we have all these kids. So
How many
we
kids do you
just
have?
7, 5 boys, 2
7 kids.
girls.
Ooh, girl. Okay. Okay. So you're a mom now and you have kids and you're navigating this route of rejection. So how did you do that?
So we decided that we would homeschool these precious children because we want to protect them from the world. The
Sure.
anger that I know, or the anger that he knows, the resentment that I know, we want to protect them so that
Right.
they don't get caught up in all of this
Yep.
sin-based life that we were part of growing up.
Mhm.
We're
Yep.
going to make their lives better. Yeah. So it turned out
It's
that the
very
program we
common.
were
Yeah.
part of was very authoritative.
Mhm.
There were a lot of do this and do that, and
Yep.
don't do this and wear this and don't wear that, and
Yep.
don't go to this and don't do that. And it was rules, rules, rules. And we just
Yes.
followed it to a point.
Follow the rules.
We
Follow
didn't
the
do
rules.
we
Yeah.
thought we were above the program because we didn't follow all the rules. We didn't we broke from some of them that we just but no, that's wrong. But we gave our children an awful lot. So there was
Mm.
a lot of programmed behavior into
Yeah.
our children that was not serving them.
Yeah.
We lost our oldest son's hearts while demanding they behave in certain ways.
Oh.
Now I have the mom shame guilt because I know
Yes.
exactly
Sure.
where we lost
Sure.
them.
Sure.
We tried so
Sure.
hard to protect our kids from the world,
Yes.
but
Oh, yes.
they came to embrace it with both hands. We had
Yeah.
wounded our sons and lost their
All
hearts.
in the name, though, of trying to do everything right. All in the name of trying to do everything
Yeah.
right. to try to
Yeah.
protect them because you don't want them to hurt the way you've been hurt, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we lost them. So we
And when
remained
you say you
close
lost them, you mean they went
emotionally.
into the world.
We had a close relationship. One of our sons, like, we didn't date in this program. We don't date. We don't date. And he was about 15. He's not even, maybe he was 16, 15 or 16. And he said, Mom, Dad, I want to talk to you. I go, oh, okay, must be big. We went into the family room, um, and we sat down, and he said, Mom, Dad, I'd like to ask your permission to date this girl. And we're like, no. I think I spoke up first. I said, no, we don't do that. We don't
Mhm.
do
Yeah,
that
yeah, 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 yeah.
because we could have walked him through that,
You're
but
right.
instead
I know.
we
Yeah,
made him walk in shame because he's even thinking about that. So he goes out and secretly dates her for the next
sure, of
several
course.
years. We didn't even know
Yes,
that for a couple of
yes, because
years. We did.
that's what rules do. They
Yeah.
create rebellion. I mean, I'm not saying rules are bad entirely, but they create an environment where you have to sneak around
Yeah.
because, yeah, because you
So
can't
his
comply to
parents
it.
were not sneaking around. So they played games with them. They had healthy boundaries over there. And at our house, he's hiding from us. And
Right.
so it was
So
that's
classic. Yes.
that's when we lost that boy's heart. It was
Yeah,
really
you
sad.
lost his heart. That's when you say we lost him, you mean you lost his heart and started to go his own way.
Hmm. Yeah, which
Yeah.
just created more secretive behaviors.
Right, right, and more
So we
rejection
remained,
for you, more
yeah,
rejection from you,
for
because that's the
him and
ultimate
me.
rejection when we feel rejected by our children. That's like
Yeah.
that's really, the big one, right?
So we remained close to our sons, as close as their behaviors would allow us to mingle, because we were still pretty judgy in those years. We were still in that program for a few more years. We were in it a total of 20. So most all the older kids,
Yes,
the first four experienced a lot of that program, the last three not so much. And they're much healthier for it. Um,
right.
we relaxed the rules with the next five, but still we wore the mask to fit into the church culture, whatever that was, whatever the church culture was.
Te
We
tell
were
us what
wearing
te tell what
masks.
tell us what that means to wear a mask to fit into the church culture. Give us a little bit more of an idea of what you mean by that.
Well, you're one thing in church and maybe you're doing something else out of church. I
Uh-huh.
guess that would be a good mask. What I look like in church is not always who I was at home with my children. I'm a good little mama, homeschooler, but I wasn't leading from the spirit. I was leading from a book. We weren't celebrating Christ as I know him today. It was follow this, that, and the other thing to
Mhm.
get through
Which
this
was fear, which
program.
was really
Yeah.
actually fear, right? You're operating in fear that you didn't want your kids to go astray, which fear is not a good as anyone has learned, fear is not a good teacher.
Hmm. But I'd
Shame
get
is not a
healing,
good
and
teacher.
I started looking for healing for some of this stuff. There was somebody called Mama Hugs. Oh, this is probably 30 years ago, and it was an inner healing sort of thing. And I
Mama hugs. Oh,
remember
that's interesting.
I remember realizing through that program that I had abandonment issues. That was the first time, and well, that made a lot of sense. Of course, my mother died. Of course, it's
Sure.
abandonment.
Sure. Of
So
course.
then,
Yep.
why at that time? That's 30 years ago, at least
Yep.
30, maybe more. But the same cycle of abandonment. As I progress in adulthood, I'm in the church. Sometimes I lead a Bible study or I'm attending a Bible study, a lot of K. Arthur Bible studies, if anybody's a K. Arthur scholar.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
we did those a lot. And nothing against that program, but I
Yeah.
just I just didn't get past the scholastic, do this, look this
Yes.
scripture up, look this
Of
scripture up. It
course.
never
Of
went
course.
home. It
Yeah,
never
that
went
was your
home.
lens. Yeah. Mhm.
That was just the lens that I went through
Yep.
this with.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I said in this little letter that I wrote, I just didn't have the joy, joy, joy in my heart. That little
Yeah.
children's song. I got the
I
joy,
remember
joy,
that.
joy, joy
Yeah, I remember
down in my
that
head.
song. It sounds like we had the same upbringing. I was singing the same songs. Yes.
I didn't have that joy though in my heart. I could sing it. There's
Yeah.
a mass. I could sing it at church,
Yeah.
but I wasn't walking it out at home.
Did
So
you
where
you
are you,
didn't
God?
did you connect that? Did you realize that church was one way and home was another? Were you able to reconcile that as a young adult?
No, no,
Yeah.
because my sister was was married to our pastor, my brother-in-law, and we started going to this church a while back into our young married life, and left the denomination that we were into, and now we were in a non-denominational church. So hey, we think we've got it going on now because we are full of the
Right.
Holy Spirit. Oh
Right.
yeah.
Right. 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 Yeah.
But I if there was just my mom died, so I'm trying to please my older sister, and if she wasn't happy, then I was a mess. And if we got in a fight, my husband would say, "Did you talk to your sister today? What happened?" I'm like, "No, why do you say that?" Well, yeah, we had a little squirble, but I would be like all bound up inside unless we
Mhm.
were at peace with one another. I was
Yeah.
trying to make peace with the wrong person. I didn't realize that, whatever was her bondage and her wounds from our childhood, I was taking on all of that as part of my own, in addition to my own abandonment, I think.
Right. Right. Now you're
Um,
taking on your sister's wounds as well as your own, and it's not a
yeah,
formula for Christian success, is it?
no, it just wasn't working out well. So eventually, my husband got a job about 45 minutes to an hour from that location where church was, and our kids were starting to be a little older, and we're like, we need to be in a home church closer to here. And that was a big deal to leave that church. So, but we
Sure.
did. We did, and that was a good thing to be on our own and making new relationships. But even in those relationships, I just felt unaccepted 100%. A lot of relationships you form. You have cliques. There's this clique, and
Mhm.
there's that clique, and
Yeah.
there's this clique,
Yes. Yeah.
and
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, even in
Yeah.
the church, this
Yeah.
happens. And so we had come out here in our 30s, joined that church. We were like 38 or something. I don't know, but that's not that old.
Right.
But we were homeschooling, so we had that culture. So those are probably the people we were closest to for so many years. But if they looked at me wrong, if they blinked wrong,
Right.
I thought they're rejecting me. More of that wound from the childhood. Because what do I have to offer? So,
But you don't know that's what's going on while it's happening, right? It's just normal to
no,
you. Yeah, you have
it
no
was, yeah,
idea. Yeah, that seems very real when it's happening without realizing what's really going on, right?
right, right. I mean, they could have gotten up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe they were tired. Who knows? Maybe they're up with a sick child. I don't know because we're surfacey. We don't go real deep,
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, that was young adulthood and motherhood.
Yeah.
Um, so I let all those rejection issues pile up next to that little girl in the basement. They just kept piling up,
When you say
through
that little girl in the basement, what do you mean by that?
that's the little girl that was abandoned by her
Yeah.
father and her mama when she died, and she was just left there, and she was never hugged. And I think you taught us that,
Yeah, I
the
did. I
child
did. I
didn't
did. I
didn't
just
have
wanted to
the
clarify for anyone who might not know what she means that we talk about trauma being in the basement. So like all our trauma is in the basement, and then we talk about our survival being the middle floor, and then our real self our God-given self and God being upstairs. So we use those three stories. So when she talks about that little girl in the basement, she's talking about the traumatized version of herself. And it is also quite literally, and I don't want to go too, trauma on you here, but the trauma is quite literally stored in the basement of our brain. It's stored in our lower brain. And so our lower brain that stores the trauma is quite different than our upper brain that has rational thoughts. So when you are looking through that lens at people rejecting you, you are actually looking at that lens through the basement memories, your brain has, as well as your soul has now, that says you don't even know it, but you're living from this place of, everyone's going to reject me. Something's wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. And this is really what ends up ruling a person's life, that like Bonnie's, who's been, just rejected over and over and over and over again. So anyway, I'm just adding that little blurb in there, but continue on.
Yeah, so prior to COVID, I'm getting older and I realize that I'm still chasing God. I don't have that joy of who he is, his character. So it was before COVID. It was the year before COVID. I just like, God, you got to talk to me. I have to know you. I got to know who you are once and for all. Let's put this on the table, God. Who are you? What is your
Uh-huh.
character? And so I did a deep dive and I studied that. And then COVID hits, and a
Uh-huh.
girlfriend had, just on Facebook, she had shared a link to, a Bible study that was going around called Barn 45.
Uh-huh.
And like, "Oh, well, I'm home, so might as well turn into that." So I had this character thing going, and now he was moving me up to the next notch. And I listened to this Bible study, and the love, the intimateness of these two women that were sharing scriptures. It was line upon line, scripture upon scripture, one scripture a day for the entire year. We didn't cover a whole lot, but it was deep. And I was like, I want this. I want this. So then one of the gals, the next thing they did at Barn was offer a class. They offered a class that I was going to join, and Stephanie right here wrote it. Um, Go ahead, tell me. What thing?
The Christian Codependency Recovery Workbook.
Yes, yes, here it is. I got it right here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh no, that's
Yep.
not even the right one. So
That's
yes,
okay. That's all
I
right. I
joined.
have it behind me. I have it behind me.
You
That
do.
book.
There it
Oh,
is.
look
There
at
it is, and
my
it's in
my
front of me.
screen. My screen. See, I learned that about my camera. If I put my thumb up there. Anyway, yes. So you join, and I'm going to tell them in a minute what Barn 45 is, but let's just keep going for right now, and then I'll fill in some of those details.
Yeah. So this book here, and this book
There you
was
go.
a
There it is. You
10
put in a
week.
spiral.
It was a 10, yeah, I did. It's lovely. And
Mhm.
it was a 10-week course on codependency and from surviving to significance. I'm like, huh, okay, codependency, some new terms I'm not familiar with. Well, I found that I was very codependent on my sister, others in my home, that made for unhealthy relationships, just were not
Sure.
healthy.
Yep.
And so this was just eye opening. So, Stephanie, you wrote the book, and it was just that was life changing. So from
Uh,
there, uh, I said people had not loved me or came beside me in healthy ways as a little girl. So I learned behaviors that served me as a child, but they didn't meet my survival needs as an adult. And so this course helped. I learned that I was full of anger and shame and guilt. So what do I do with that? What do I do with all this trauma and this codependency? And how do I function in healthy ways as a Jesus lover now in my life now? Because this was
uh-huh.
only, I took that course 3 years ago, maybe. When stuff happens, I need to give it back to Jesus, right? Of course, that is
Uh-huh.
where it needs to go. Don't hold on to the junk, the pain, the memories, the hurts of abandonment. Release them so much. So about a month ago, this author right here, Stephanie, she's
Mm.
doing a class, an intensive class in California. And
And now you're up to date.
yes,
Now we're
that
up
brought
to
me
the
up to
here and
date.
now.
We have fast
Okay.
forwarded through a lot of stuff that
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
piles
So
of
that's
stuff that I
okay.
could add, but I thought
Sure.
enough was
But this
enough.
is the journey. The journey is and I want to quick talk about Barn 45 for those of you that don't know. Um Barn 45 is a ministry out of Detroit, Michigan. They kind of got well known during COVID because they did a daily Bible study, but they're in your area, but they are all
They're actually in
over.
Highland. They're in
Yeah, they're in
Highland.
Highland, Michigan. It really is a truly remarkable ministry, and I encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast to go check that out. They still do
They
their
do.
daily Bible studies, so, it's
They do,
definitely worth checking out.
and they're
Those are our
actually
good
only that
friends.
building, that little barn is about only 15 minutes from my house, so I'm pretty
That's
blessed.
amazing. That is amazing.
So it's
You're getting some healing. You're starting to understand the language of recovery. You're
yeah.
starting to understand roots and brokenness and what recovery language is about, like so many people um, are open to for the first time. So that's kind of already kind of starting to marinate in you, right?
Oh,
All of
yes.
that
Oh, yes.
exposure, hearing the word through a love-based filter, taking classes. So there's kind of some processes going on. I think it's important for people to understand that when someone has such a significant breakthrough as you're about to share with us, that, there was, a foundation that was built prior to that.
I'm aware of what's wrong with me, but
Yeah,
it's still circling around, and I'm
right.
still who I was, and I'm not still feeling that joy, joy, joy welling up
Mhm.
within me entirely. Yes, I like to worship with music, but it wasn't a daily love relationship that I wanted so badly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted intimacy with the
yeah.
Father. I wanted it.
Yes,
So
yes.
I go to this class. I suggest this idea to my husband, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. It's a lot of money." I'm like, "I've
Hmm.
got some money stored upstairs. I'm a ski instructor, and I had
Good for
some
you.
a good amount of money saved up for a ski trip out west this year." I said, "I'll use that money and forget the ski trip." And I thought, "This will be of more life value to me, this intimacy that I could gain from this class, than on a week-long ski trip."
And when
And
you
he
say
said,
class,
"The
you're talking
intensive."
about the intensive. Okay, I just wanna be clear
That
because I have both. So you're coming to the group intensive that we had, and so I didn't know
I
that, Bonnie,
contacted
that you had to give up a ski trip to come. Wow, I didn't even know that. So,
it was well worth it.
ah,
It was
yeah.
so worth it. So,
Oh,
yeah. So I was gonna go last year, but, we had a wedding, we had a baby be born. It was
yeah,
just like wrong timing. I
that's how
told my
life
friends,
happens. Yep, yep.
I said, "I'll go next year, but nope, this is better than out west with these gals." And who knows, maybe I'll get a deal, who knows? But,
Yeah, yeah, I hope you can still get the ski trip. I really do.
I
So,
ski plenty, trust me.
you come out to, an
So I get a
intensive, and you're gonna
flight
do training too. You're gonna do some training as a follow-up to the intensive, but you come out to the intensive, and
by
so
myself all the way to California. I know
I
nobody,
know.
there's 7 of us, and we have met one time on the phone. I mean, a blog you put us together with, so we at least could
Yeah,
recognize
Zoom. I
faces.
put you on a Zoom together. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So these are just a group of strangers you're gonna meet for the first time.
Yeah, pretty much, and the most wonderful strangers I've ever met in my life, girls.
I
If you're
have to
watching this,
admit
you're
I
so
have to admit you're
precious,
right. I have to
so
admit you're right, but
precious.
you know what's so amazing about that environment with people that are ready to heal? It's like God knows how to set all those people together. I mean, he just knows how to do that. It's just incredible to me. So, I want to know, we're going to start breaking down your healing process because it really is extraordinary and it's massive. And for anyone, even anyone who goes to our intensives and doesn't get this massive healing, that's why I want you to understand there's different seasons for different things. And sometimes we're acquiring and then God's going to break through. But for you,
Yes.
there had been a foundation built, but for you, this ended up being your moment in time, like when it says, to approach the throne of grace to receive what you need when you need it. This was the when you need it moment in your life. Jesus giving you what you need
He
right
did.
now in this moment. So, walk us through what healing actually looks like so that it's not just a concept or a class or a group. Because really, it's not just the event you went to, it's what happened in your heart. It's what Jesus did in your heart. And tell us about what that was like.
All right. Okay. So going up towards this intensive, I had been doing a fair amount of journaling, and I had developed a relationship with Abba. I learned to know God as my father, which was enormous because
Huge.
of my own
Huge.
father. So we journaled a lot, and he talked to me, and I could hear his voice. So I go to this class and with my six other friends, and Stephanie has us share. Each one of us share our trauma stories. I think every one of us has something that holds us back.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, everyone. Always, always. Yes.
so um, I don't know. I was at the end of the first day. It took us 2 days, I think, to go through
I
all of
did.
our seven
It did.
stories.
I
And
said
I was at
20
the
minutes, and remember that didn't work
yeah,
so well. We were all at it for an hour.
yeah, or better, yeah. And
That's
then we'd
okay.
break.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's okay.
And they
That
were.
was good.
It was just like the stuff I shared. It was heavy stuff. Everybody had heavy
Yeah.
stuff.
I know. It's so
It just
sad.
we
So
cried
sad.
over each other. We held each other. We lifted each
Yes.
other up.
Yes.
We prayed over each other. And we
Yes.
saw God
Oh,
working in people. We saw each other working in each other. So,
yes.
um, so we're sharing, and I don't know. I was learning through the other girls too.
Right. That's
Things
how it
would break
works.
open.
Yes.
And listening,
Yes.
I'm praying
Yes.
beside her,
Yes.
and she's getting set free, and it was something I don't remember what she was dealing with. And you asked her, "Have you asked God to be your bridegroom?" And I'm like, "Whoa!" The wall went down. What do you mean bridegroom? I know him as my Abba. Now you want him to be my bridegroom? I couldn't process this, and I
Yeah.
spoke to you about it. You're like, "Well, he's Father, Son, and Holy Ghost." I mean, okay, I got the Spirit in here. Abba's my father, but that's so intimate. God the
Yeah.
Father as my bridegroom. I mean, I've heard the concept, but
Well,
if I want to go deeper,
technically Jesus is the bridegroom. So, I
yes,
mean, you know,
yes, yes.
yeah.
It's God the Father, the Holy
And
Spirit,
then
and Jesus is my
and
bridegroom.
Jesus the bridegroom. Right. That's right.
And I wanted that, but it was so intimate. I wasn't ready for it. And I don't think I really, really embraced it till I got home and I was worshiping the Lord in the shower. And he's talking to me and he's telling me how much he loved me and how precious I am to me. And I see all of you, you're precious to me. And my eyes went like, you see all of me. I'm naked in the shower. I'm this 73-year-old woman. And you
Oh,
see
bless
all
your
of me.
heart.
You
Bless your
see
heart.
all of me. And he loved me. And then the next day after that, I've got this 6-foot mirror and he does the same thing. I love you. I love you. It's like all the wrinkles, every blemish, and you love me. I'm your bride. I'm your bride, and you love me. It was just like taking me into another level.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that was
So
good.
so what so what was happening in that scene with you
At the
realizing
intensive,
like well after the intensive I don't there was a lot of things that happened at the intensive but anytime you're in a healing environment truth gets exposed deeper and deeper.
The
Trauma
the biggest
starts.
breakthrough for me at the intensive was, the anger I had felt towards my dad
Yes,
because
there
he
you
had
go.
left
Let's
my
talk about that.
sister and I alone
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
And I think one of the other girls was you were in ministry with somebody else, and again, I'm like, I couldn't worship, I couldn't I had been worshiping, I'd been writing, but I was angry, and I voiced it, and I said, "I'm so angry at my father," and you said, "Right now, we're gonna deal with that. I want you to," I think we had a little "You wanna explain it, court?" You became my
Oh,
dad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
You asked me,
So,
"What is your dad's name?" And I said,
yeah.
"Bernard," and I
Mhm.
said he said, "Last name, Willards,"
Mhm.
and I said, "But they call him Barney," and he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna stand in front of you, girls gather around Bonnie, and I'm gonna be Barney, and I'm gonna have Bonnie just spew out everything that he's ever done that hurt me. That's what you
Right.
wanted me to do." And I
That's
said,
right.
"Look at you. Look at her, girls. She doesn't look like my bald-headed Barney." I said, "She don't look like my dad." And you took your hair and you put it back and,
Yeah,
like,
we
"That
were just
better?"
kinda joking. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's alright. So she was about 18 inches from my face, and she's like, "Let him have it." And I'm like, "You are a
L
jerk." I
Yeah.
just that was the first thing that came out. I just said, "You are a
Yeah.
jerk." And I go,
Yeah.
"You left my mother
Yeah.
and I alone. And
I
why were
remember.
we so
Oh.
bad? Why couldn't you be there? Why did you leave us?" And
Mm.
I just let him have it. And then
Mm.
so we got through that, and then you had bought some burning paper, and you said, "Write all the labels that the enemy has positioned on you: abandoned, loser, fat." Yeah, one of those that fat thing came. I think I fought obesity for many decades of my life, and we didn't have a lot of food in the house. And so when I got older, I just, oh, let's go, because I had control over what I could eat. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
so then
Coping
I had this
mechanism.
label
Yeah.
of fat. I had
Yeah.
so many labels: unwanted, disappointing, all
It's
of that. And
terrible
so I
labels.
had those
Terrible
labels on one
labels.
side, and I wrote all the things that I didn't like about my father on the other, and then we burned them. And I have the ashes of Barney right here. That would be right here in this
Oh,
bag.
oh, look at that.
Yep. And
Wow,
so
you saved
she
them.
said,
Yeah.
"Take
Yeah.
them and use it as fertilizer. It'll help the seeds, the good seeds that we're planting, to grow in the springtime." So I'm going to they're in a
Now
vase,
I
and
wanna be hang on, I gotta clarify something for y'all that think I made her, like, burn her dad and she's carrying
no,
around her ashes, okay? Like,
those are the ashes of the things that I said
yeah,
that
yes,
I
those
wrote on
are
paper.
what we're doing in when we process forgiveness is, first of all, we're acknowledging that wrong was wrong and letting those things be stated, letting them come to the surface, calling them for what they are.
And
That
they were
stuff
bad.
was
Yeah.
stuck inside you for so long that you just had to get it out. And in courtroom structures, which I use a lot in inner healing teaching, is that we need to learn how to separate people from their behaviors. So when we prepare for healing, we have to keep those as two separate things. This is what someone did. This is how it affected me. This is how it still affects me versus this is just a broken man. He has his own story, and the only remedy I really have to break that off me, the stuff he did, is if I release him and give him back to Jesus. And that's another word for forgiveness. But forgiveness is not dismissing or denying the damage that those things did or how it caused. It's acknowledging it, and that's why we burn that. We burn that because that stuff was from the pits of hell. That was never God's intention for you, and it was awful, and we don't need to diminish that. But at the same time, Bernie is a broken man, and Were you able to release Bernie back to Jesus? Were you able to discharge him to Jesus?
Well, that night we burnt everything, and I think the next day you said to me, "Have you forgiven him?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, Stephanie, you just made me get angry at him, all of these evil things. I don't feel a lot of love for towards the man right now.
Right,
Forgiveness,
exactly.
kind of I'm equating the 2 together." She goes, "Well, do you want him to go to hell?" I'm like, "Well, no, but he's dead anyways." And he's like, "Yeah, but you carry that baggage in your heart." Um, so I got it was right then. I think I went into the room away and journaled, and I gave it to God. That's where the breaking was. I gave all of this junk that I had been carrying in my heart. I gave that junk, the abandonment, my father, the rejection with from different people. I gave it to God because I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to
Right.
do ABC to be good enough to
That's
come
right.
before the Father on the cross. To walk across
That's
the
right.
cross, I have to do something.
Right.
And no, I had to just leave it
You
at
just
the
had to
cross.
release it.
I
Yeah, you had to
nailed
release
it
it.
to the base of the cross, and the blood, his blood flooded over me. It just flooded me. And when he washed me, he gave me that grace. The grace. The
Oh,
grace was just pouring onto me. The grace, I couldn't get enough of them. Just, I haven't had enough since we've been home. I'm telling
I
people,
know.
anybody that will listen to my
I
story,
know. That's
how
why I
he
brought
set
you
me
on.
free, how he set me free, how he loves
Um,
me, the abundance that he was waiting for me. This was one of this little cute projects we did. This was a vase that Stephanie had us break. We took a hammer and a plastic bag and we broke this little thing, and then we had to glue it back together, and it wasn't very attractive. But it represented all the fragments that
yeah,
I was trying to put back together again, and I
that's
didn't
right.
have to. I didn't
Yeah,
have to. I just had to give him the fragments, and
that's
he put
right.
me back together again
That's
in a most
right. That's
beautiful
right.
way. And
Oh,
maybe it's
there's no,
taken 60 years to do, but I am
yeah.
perfectly put together in the way that he always desired for me to be. He has a
It's
plan
an
for my
and it's
life.
it's an internal experience that's almost
Yes,
indescribable, right? I mean,
it's
it's
there.
just happening deep, deep down in your
Everything that he
heart.
wanted for me was
Yeah.
already in place, and he
Yes.
was with me in those dark
Always.
spaces. He
Yes,
was
he
with me
was.
when I didn't have to go to the hospital, when I took those
That's right.
pills. He was with me
That's
with
right.
other people
That's right.
that, in the parochial school, girlfriends' mothers that came beside me for a season. And one of those moms that I spent a lot of time with, her daughter and I were in Girl Scouts together, and I had a fondness for her. She was the family that I wanted. Her dad kissed me on the forehead. They had 6 kids, and I wanted to be a part of their family. Maybe they'd make room for me.
Right.
But,
Right.
I went back and saw her. Maybe I was in college, and nice to see you again, Bonnie. So glad you stopped by. There was nothing. There was no emotional thing there, and I was, like, rejected again. She
Yeah.
nothing, nothing. So, but what he told me later was, when I asked him, all those people, why did they always leave? And he's like, because if you would have saw them as your rescuer. I was there rescuing you. Every place you were at, I was there. I was taking you and holding you and carrying you when you couldn't walk. He was my rescuer, and I didn't see it. I would have equated Mrs.
Human
Staney.
rescue. Yeah, human
Yes,
rescue.
I would have
Human
latched onto
saviors.
them of
Yeah.
my own need, and
Yeah.
he didn't
Yeah.
allow that to happen. And
And
so I'm
that
grateful
need
for that.
something that you've been learning is that, when we've been traumatized, it's not even what happens to us, it's what we don't receive. It's the lack of nourishment, the lack of love, the lack of value, the lack of attention, the lack of care. And that need provokes us to do so many things. It's just unbelievable what we can do in survival to try to be good enough. We didn't get love. Well, I must have to earn love. I feel rejected. Well, I need to make myself better. I feel
Yep.
unworthy. Well,
Let's
I
get
need to
this
be
credential.
worthy. And the lifestyle of trying to make yourself enough because you didn't get what you needed is so
Yes.
outlandish. I mean, it's so
Around and around we
unbelievable.
go. Yeah.
Around, and you never get anywhere. And all you do is get a confirmation that you really are rejectable. You really aren't good enough. You really aren't lovable. So you go to the next place and you try the next thing, and the next thing tells you the same story. Oh, you're rejectable. But here, this time, you made a stop. And it required that you take an honest look within. It required that you dealt with what was there. One thing we got to see, Bonnie, in you, I mean, significantly seeing you, is just watch you begging for the Lord to heal you. I mean, literally begging like a little girl. I mean, you became like a little girl begging for your daddy, begging for Jesus. And crying. I mean, just crying and crying and crying and crying. And we're having these prayer sessions, and you could feel that she was like just sucking it in, like she's just it's like, wow, there's some stuff going on with Bonnie, like,
Oh, yeah.
whoa, we're all looking like, whoa, there's stuff going
Yeah.
on. And so to see where how that happened, I mean, it's actually truthfully, you know, the religious mentality is, tell me how you did it so I can do it too. Tell me how you did it so I can do it too.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it doesn't work that way, even though, it happened here in this intensive. It could happen anywhere because it wasn't about the process. It was about the heart.
Release.
Yes, it was about
Releasing
the
the
heart
stuff.
being able to finally be loved and validated in that story. And I can't say enough about the power of safe community. I mean, it is one of the greatest gifts God gives us. Just the same, there's power in unhealthy communities. So, unhealthy community breaks us and shatters us, but healthy community with Jesus is one of the most life-giving resources that we have. But being having to refrain from religion, which says I need to do A, B, and C for God to, and realizing actually you just need to come to him as a little child and just kind of throw it all up on him, for sake of a better word, and learn how to receive those God-given needs, because there is no words to describe what the peace and love of God is. I mean, who can put that to words, Bonnie? Once you encounter it, there are no words. But
That's right.
I know it's what every human being desires, even if they don't realize it. They might look for it in other ways, in other places. And, as Christians, we sometimes judge how people act. And even your dad, Bonnie, I hope you know this, that he was in survival too.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
how he was dealing with his pain. And
Mhm.
that's how generations and generations go on,
Just pass it.
carrying the
Yeah.
previous generation's pain. And it comes in a new flavor, it comes in a new format, but it's the same pain. And do you feel compassion for Barney more so than you did when you started this journey?
I would say yes. Yeah, because he didn't have a clue how to give his pain, the loss of his healthy wife, to God. He just
No,
didn't
he had
have.
no clue.
He
No
was an
clue.
elder in the church, and, he watched how long the sermon was. That was his job, I think he thought.
And then that's your
But
representation of Christians and Christianity and God, is watching your dad be that way outside of the church, that way
yeah.
inside of the church. And what a backward, screwed up representation. But that's his brokenness. That was his way. Even putting that church suit on to try
Well,
to
yeah.
be good enough
I mean,
was
I
just
I
one
can
of his survival
remember
skills.
coming home from college. I'm in a different city, and I'd come home on the weekend and maybe being able to go to church, and I was like, "Oh, good. I'm good for the day. I put the
Right.
mask on, and I can go back and be this whoever I was at school."
When we used religion to try to repress our emotions, numb our pain, and look good on the outside, but we're not dealing with it, we're no different than someone who's going and hitting, something,
Right.
drug. I mean, we're no different than
Absolutely.
that. And so it 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 I think that we end up a lot of times in Christianity wanting to make it about a moral issue, but really it's about a pain issue and it's about an unmet need. And Jesus can meet that need in a way that's really indescribable. Describe what it's like to walk with Jesus right now, with whatever words that you can describe. What does that
Um,
transformation look like?
Intimacy, the intimacy that I desired, I
What's
have.
intimacy? Tell us what intimacy means.
We sit and we talk. I can be at peace. I can be quiet in his presence. And he tells me sometimes I need to write it down. I write down a whole
I know
page
you do. I know you
of
do.
what he's telling me. I love you. You are precious. And I use vernacular from the Bible because the Bible is the living word. And
Right.
it
That's
says,
right.
I'm a
That's right.
masterpiece. I am his masterpiece. I
Yes.
am chosen and
Yes.
loved. And I he wants to spend time with me. He's my protector. I feel valued. Yeah. And so he tells
Total
me these
acceptance.
things. Ex
Nothing you have
Yeah.
to do.
I
Nothing
don't
you
I'm
have to
not
do for
hiding
him.
anything
You're
from
not
him.
hiding anything. That's intimacy. You're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
You're not hiding anything. You're just coming as you are, and he's giving you love. And you know what's crazy about it, Bonnie? Those resources, that word of God was always there, right?
Yeah.
You just
uh,
didn't know how to receive it into a real experience.
Well, the grace that's come and just pours over me and I can dance before the Lord and just it's me and him. It's just worshiping. And and then I think he sings to me and we sit in the valley and we just spend time together. It's a beautiful valley. And he puts a white robe on me and it's not
Yes.
just a white robe, but it's got translucent threads that's beautiful and it sparkles. And he puts these visions in my head of how he dresses me because I'm at the throne room, you know?
Yes. 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 And I mean, you are talking about an experience that's happening in the spiritual realm. This is not a human experience. This is
No.
being we talk about it in the basement, middle floor, upstairs. We talk about that as the sanctuary, and it's honestly the kingdom of heaven in us, which is very biblical. Jesus came to live in us. The kingdom of heaven is in us, and so it's this very real place in the spiritual realm where we're intended. This is all in the Bible that we're
Yeah.
intended to know Jesus intimately and passionately, and every detail about us is brought in his presence, and he doesn't reject us, and he loves us as we are. This is all in this is all in the word.
The
This is
biggest
nothing.
takeaway, I mean, he's given me all this grace, but I just, when I realized I didn't have to do anything. I mean,
Yes,
have we
that's
not
it.
heard this? We hear it all the time. Just come to the cross.
Yeah.
But I still was bringing stuff that I had to do first before I would be good enough to
Right.
receive his redemption.
Right.
And once
Right.
I
Right.
got that in my spirit that I couldn't leave I mean, there's books that I read to my kids when we were homeschooling. I can't think of the name of it all offhand, but he had the pack on his bag, and he
Yep.
carried it up the hill.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh
There are lots of
gosh.
kids' books that correlate this, and still
Yep.
I read
You
it, but
still don't get it. It's like your
it didn't
heart
drop
couldn't
into my
perceive.
spirit.
Yes, it didn't drop into your spirit. That's right. So, do the people in your life see you differently now? Do they recognize a change?
Well, yeah. One day I was telling my daughter this was pretty fun. I came home from the intensive and I was higher than a kite. It's like, and so I'm telling her some of the story and a lot of it, and we're going to go out with grandma. We see her on Wednesdays a lot. So I said, Rachel, I just can't stop crying. There's such happy tears. And she's like, Mom, you gotta package it up. We're going into Somerset. This is a fancy mall by my house. I'm like, but no, no buts. You got to patch it up. I said, "Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do." So I got this little crown that we had at the banqueting
Oh, at
table.
the in the intensive. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so I drove over and I met them at the house, grandma's, and I had my little crown on. She goes, "Oh, oh no, take it off." I'm like, "No, I'm not taking it off." I knew I could. I'm the daughter of the living king, and I am
Amen.
wearing this today. That's what I told her. I am the daughter of the living king, and I'm wearing my crown. I'm
Oh
not going to
my
cry because this will keep me from crying. I can be happy because I'm his daughter and we're going out. And
I wish
precious.
every Christian could see what this looks like in action when true healing happens, and then to see, like, how this authenticates inside of you. You can't make it up because you tried to, make this happen all these years in all these wrong ways. You can't make it up. It happens. Here it is. And it's pouring out of you, and now it's filling other people. And if you ask me, this is what the gospel was always supposed to be about.
It's
This
so
the Isn't it?
exciting. I
It's
mean, this
so
is I've waited
exciting.
for so long, and God, I said, "God, is this because I'm older and I've got less time? Is this like it's like bursting out of me?" And he's like, "No, it just wasn't ready to burst out of you. The seed wasn't fully released and open. And now that it is, yes, you have a story. Go out there, girl."
Go out
He's
there and
like,
tell your
"Yes,
story.
yeah, go
Well,
tell."
you're just getting started, Bonnie. I'm excited to have you in coaching, and already you're showing up in our prayer rooms, and I know you're a blessing in that ministry and to your family. I know how important your family is. So I just want to thank you for taking this time and sharing this piece of your heart that really is so precious. I mean, your story starts out, I
Heavy.
mean, like, you would almost think we're not talking to the same person that we're talking to when we started this testimony, because it's so sad,
Uh,
and then all of a sudden you have joy. I mean, boy, you wanna talk about,
so
trading
much
your sorrow in for
freedom.
joy. Freedom
The
is the
freedom.
word.
And
Freedom,
today, I
freedom.
think I was learning about grace, and then peace comes with the grace. And it's
Yep,
like, it's a
yep.
state of being
It's a state of
after
being.
I
Yep.
received that grace. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
grace is what it's all about. What would you tell someone right now who wants what you have? And I need to say this, even though I'm doing this podcast with people from our program, because these are the people I work with. This isn't like a broadcast. I'm not trying to like get like, send them all here. I don't mean like program wise. I mean like where do people start? I mean, how do they get the freedom that you're talking about? Like,
I don't know.
how does that happen?
This little visual, I think, seeing,
I love
seeing
you
it's
got
put,
your crown in your pots. Oh, I love it.
I know my little butterflies are somewhere here too. There's,
All our
oh, here they
program
are.
projects that we did.
Yes, my
Oh
butterflies.
gosh.
These
Okay.
these were supposed to be planted in there, right? I know. But,
That's okay.
I think when we think of all the pieces that, probably you can identify some of the pieces like I did about my abandonment and rejection. They're
Yeah.
not always that deep to see. It's can be pretty obvious, but what do we do with them? And I think and one of these days I'm going to get a black marker and I'm going to rewrite on the inside of this or
Yep.
outside
Yep.
his labels, what
Yep.
he's
Yep.
put me back
What
together.
he
The
what
broken
yes.
pieces
Oh,
are what
geez.
he
Yeah,
took
good
away.
idea.
But now he's putting me back together, and some of these pieces at the top, there's these little
I've seen
fragments
those.
there.
I've seen those.
Those
Yes.
those are from some of my friends, the other 6 from their pieces of their I
You
took
you
home a
s
piece of them.
you took home a piece of them,
Yeah,
and
so I could pray
and
for
there's such
them.
love there.
It's community, that we
There's such
need
love for those
community.
other girls too. Yes,
Yeah,
I
the
just
community that I wanted was there, and it's here too in Michigan, but
yeah, yeah.
but
It's just that
we need
very intimate
community.
space, yeah, and honestly, people have to understand that this level of healing, you need to be safe, and there is something about that
Yes.
smaller setting and that smaller community. We're all throwing our junk out at the same time that
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
makes
yeah.
it just allowable to do that. So, um,
But
You
seeing who you are, that God has a plan for you. It wasn't
Yes,
just to see
yes,
you broken. He's not there with a
yes.
hammer. He
No,
didn't do
no,
this to us. We did this
no.
to ourselves because he
Well, and
he
the enemy
never
did it too.
left me.
I'm gonna go as far as to say the enemy did it to us. That was, our brokenness is at some level instigated by the enemy, right? Who comes to kill,
Yes.
steal, and destroy, and
And
turn
I
us against ourselves, even,
He's a
right?
liar. Just,
He's
when
a
I heard
liar,
some of the stories in my girls at the intensive, they were the same lies that we were dealing with
right?
over and over and over. The same lies. He's not so smart. He's not
He
at
uses
all.
the
He just
same
he
lines over and
sees
over
where we're
again. And
vulnerable
when
and
and when you
attacks with the
see,
same
yeah,
old lies.
and when you see a ministry like this where you just, I mean, over the years, you can't even imagine how many stories I've heard. And it's
Amen.
always the
Yeah.
same lies, and
Yes.
it's always the same Jesus that heals.
Yes. That redeems. There is
Yeah,
redemption.
it's all
The
there,
redemption
everyone.
is there. He
It's
shed his
already
blood that
there.
covered me. Somebody yesterday said to me, "Well, do you want to talk about the little girl in the basement?" And I said, "No, that little girl's not there anymore. The walls came down, the prison bars came down, and she's not down there. We don't need to talk about her."
She's
So
been redeemed, though.
she's
That
been
part of
redeemed.
you has also been redeemed, because when we
Yeah,
heal, we also heal. We
all
heal
parts of
all of it.
us,
We are all
all of it.
parts of us. Right,
But she's
right.
not locked up. She's
She's not
free.
locked up
She's up
anymore.
here with
She's
me.
Yes, that's
And
right. That's
she's
right. That's right.
safe. That little girl is
Yes, safe.
safe now because she's loved, because she was healed.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what he wants to do for
Oh,
all of us, all
Bonnie,
of us.
Bonnie, Bonnie. I could go on and on and on and on and
It's
on. This
so
is so
much
good. So
fun.
good, so good,
Yeah,
so joyful. Fun is a good word. God is fun. The kingdom of heaven is spectacular. It's wonderful. The
yeah.
joy of the Lord is real. It's tangible. The peace that passes human understanding is a
Amen.
state of being. And
Yes,
I just wanna give you a hug, Bonnie. I just wanna thank you so much, so, so much for sharing
I
your
feel
heart.
it. Thank you.
And, yeah, there's other people in your life that need this hope that you have. And for anyone
Yes, I
who's
do.
listening, just don't give up. Keep pursuing him. Keep pursuing him. He might show up in the shower, honey, while you're naked. You just never know where he's going
It
to
was
show
very revealing, let me tell you.
up. Well, I'm going to have you pray to close our time together. And I just want you to pray. Yeah, just pray. Go ahead, Bonnie. Put it all out there,
Oh,
honey.
Abba, Abba, Father God, you met us here tonight. Lord,
Yes,
I just
Lord.
pray that you would reach into these hearts of the women that are listening, men. Just, Father, reach into their hearts, Lord Jesus. Talk to them and tell them how much you love them, that they are worthy, that you have called them into your presence, that they can come into your presence, that you're waiting for them. Oh God, just reveal to them how loved they are, every bit of them, every bit, every
Amen.
fragment, that you have restored them and you're putting them together, and that they don't have to stay shy of you, that you're welcoming them home, and that it's glorious, and that everything that you gave me is there for them. That you have the banqueting table set up for all of us. And oh, how
Yes.
glorious it is, Lord. Just thank you. Thank you for meeting us here tonight, and the girls that are listening, Father, just speak into their hearts, and I pray that their Holy Spirit just ministers to each and every one of them listening tonight, that they would see how valued you are and how loved and precious, and God is just wanting to hold you and hug you, all every one of you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, precious Bonnie. I'm so glad that you were here. And oh boy, I think I'll see you pretty soon, right? I'll see you pretty soon. So thank you so much, sister.